Henry, stop!
Baby's hungry, you fat cow! What? Never breastfed me, mommy! What the
The story begins as Amorth is called to a small, isolated village in the heart of Italy. The villagers are frightened, whispering tales of a man who has been taken by an evil spirit. The local priest, who has known the afflicted man his whole life, is at a loss. When Amorth arrives, his presence brings a sense of hope, though tempered with fear of the unknown. The man in question has been tied up in a darkened room, his body writhing and contorting in unnatural ways. The air in the room is thick with the stench of sulfur, and a sense of malevolence hangs heavily. As Amorth steps into the room, he immediately assesses the situation with a calm, almost casual demeanor. He speaks to the man with a firmness that cuts through the chaos, addressing not the man himself, but the entity within. Amorth names the spirit, Satan. What follows is a display of Amorth's unique approach to exorcism. He doesn't follow the traditional rituals in the strictest sense. Instead, he adapts to the situation with a mix of psychological insight and spiritual authority. In this case, he has arranged for a pig to be brought into the room, a living vessel to which he intends to transfer the spirit. As he commands the demon to leave the man's body, the man convulses violently as the spirit is expelled, entering the pig with a hideous screech that reverberates through the walls. Without hesitation, Amorth picks up a shotgun and fires, ending the pig's life and, he believes, the demon's influence. However, this act of exorcism, so dramatic and final, comes with significant consequences. Amorth's decision to carry out such a severe act without the approval of his superiors quickly draws the ire of the church's hierarchy. Back in Rome, a tribunal is convened to review Amorth's actions. The tribunal is composed of high-ranking church officials, each with their own view on exorcism and its place in the modern world. Among them is an African bishop named Lumumba, who is sympathetic to Amorth and understands the gravity of the evil he faces. But there is also Cardinal Sullivan, a stern and skeptical American who doubts not only the necessity of exorcism but even the existence of demons. As Amorth stands before the tribunal, the atmosphere is tense. The room is filled with the solemnity of the occasion, the walls adorned with religious icons that seem to silently judge the proceedings. Cardinal Sullivan's voice is sharp as he questions Amorth, probing into the exorcist's motivations and methods. He accuses Amorth of acting recklessly, of stepping beyond the bounds of his authority. But Amorth, undeterred by the cardinal's harsh words, responds with a calm conviction. He argues that evil is real, tangible, and present in the world, and that his actions, while unorthodox, were necessary to protect the innocent. He insists that what he performed was not a true exorcism in the traditional sense, but rather a form of psychological theater. Despite his defense, the tribunal remains divided. Bishop Lumumba's support offers some consolation, but the weight of Cardinal Sullivan's disapproval hangs heavily over the proceedings. Amorth, frustrated by the bureaucracy and the lack of understanding among his peers, decides to leave the tribunal, his departure a statement of his discontent with the church's handling of such matters. Not long after, Amorth receives a new assignment directly from the Pope. This time, he is sent to Spain, where a young boy named Henry is believed to be possessed. Henry's story is one of tragedy and loss. His father recently died in a car accident, an event that left Henry traumatized and mute. His mother, Julia, and his older sister, Amy, have brought Henry to Spain to take possession of a centuries-old abbey that was the sole inheritance left to them by Henry's father. The abbey, with its towering stone walls and dark, cavernous interiors, seems like a place out of time, a relic of a bygone era filled with shadows and secrets. As the family settles into the abbey, strange occurrences begin to unfold. The workmen hired to restore the abbey are unnerved by a series of inexplicable events, culminating in a mysterious fire that forces them to abandon the project. The atmosphere in the abbey becomes increasingly oppressive, as if the very stones of the building are alive with malevolent intent. Henry, once a lively child, begins to display bizarre and disturbing behaviors. His eyes, once bright with curiosity, now seem hollow and distant. He speaks in strange, guttural voices, uttering blasphemies that shock his devout Catholic mother. Despite extensive medical testing, doctors find nothing physically wrong with Henry, leaving his family desperate and terrified. In his moments of lucidity, Henry demands a priest, and the local clergy responds by sending Father Escobel, a young, inexperienced priest who is unprepared for the horrors he is about to face. When Escobel arrives, he is greeted by Henry with scorn and derision. The demon inside the boy taunts Escobel, dismissing him as the wrong priest. It is at this critical juncture that Amorth arrives at the Abbey. His presence brings a sense of hope, but also a recognition of the gravity of the situation. He quickly assesses the situation and decides to enlist Escabel as his assistant, despite the young priest's lack of experience in exorcism. Amorth recognizes that Escabel has the potential to be a strong ally, though he needs guidance and training. The two men, so different in their approaches and experiences, must now work together to confront the ancient evil that has taken hold of Henry. Amorth begins by attempting to exorcise the demon from Henry, but the entity proves to be far more powerful and cunning than anticipated. Each attempt to expel the demon is met with fierce resistance. Henry's body is twisted and contorted by the demon's presence, his voice shifting from a child's innocent tones to a deep, menacing growl that echoes through the Abbey's stone halls. The demon plays on the weaknesses of both priests, taunting Escabel about his inexperience and mocking Amorth's faith. The situation grows increasingly dire as the demon begins to exert its influence over Henry's sister, Amy. At times, Amy becomes possessed, her voice and actions controlled by the same malevolent force that holds her brother captive. The family, once united in their faith, is now fractured by fear and despair. Amorth, ever the pragmatist, realizes that brute force and ritual alone will not be enough to defeat this demon. He turns his attention to the Abbey itself, sensing that the building holds the key to understanding the nature of the evil they are facing. Amorth discovers a hidden well that leads to a complex sealed off by the church centuries ago. After the harrowing discovery of the sealed chamber, Father Gabriel Amorth holds in his hands the ancient key that unlocks the true horror lurking beneath the Abbey. The key is not just a physical object but a metaphorical gateway to the darkest chapter of the church's history. The door creaks open, revealing a hidden crypt filled with relics and artifacts, many of which are stained with blood. This is a place that was never meant to see the light of day, a burial ground for the church's deepest, most dangerous secrets. The walls are lined with the bones of those who were executed during the Inquisition, and among them, Amorth finds the remains of the possessed exorcist, the very man who started the Inquisition's reign of terror under the influence of the demon Asmodeus. It becomes clear to Amorth that the church had not only failed to eradicate the demon but had also, inadvertently, helped spread its influence through the Inquisition. The exorcist's final act of sealing himself and the demon away was an attempt to contain the evil, but the corruption had already taken root in the church's practices, leading to centuries of suffering. Amorth, shaken by this revelation, knows that he must confront the demon in its lair to save Henry and to prevent history from repeating itself. As Amorth and Escabel prepare for the final confrontation, the demon grows stronger, sensing that its secret is about to be exposed. In the midst of this chaos, Amorth finds the demon's true name, Asmodeus, inscribed in ancient texts hidden within the crypt. Knowing the demon's name gives him the upper hand, as it is a critical weapon in the exorcism. However, Amorth understands that simply knowing the name is not enough. He must confront the demon with absolute faith and resolve. The final exorcism is a grueling battle that pushes both Amorth and Escabel to their limits. The demon, using the knowledge it has gained over centuries, tries to break Amorth's spirit, bringing forth the guilt and pain he has carried for so long. Amorth, however, has grown through his experiences and the bond he has formed with Escabel. He confronts the demon not with anger or fear, but with a deep sense of duty and a commitment to right the wrongs of the past. He offers himself as a vessel for the demon, knowing that by doing so, he can trap it within himself and banish it from Henry's body. The demon, eager to destroy Amorth, takes the bait and attempts to possess him. But Amorth, drawing on his faith and the strength he has gained from his journey, turns the tables on the demon. With Escabel's help, they use the demon's true name to weaken it, forcing it out of both Henry and Amorth. The demon, realizing it has been outmaneuvered. As the demon is expelled, the Abbey, which had been a source of darkness and despair, seems to breathe a sigh of relief. By the way, I am Surge's Mike. I cried a lot while editing this video, so kindly say sorry by subscribing to the channel. Also, here are some interesting recaps I recommend you to watch.